workforce and you don't have any years of experience behind you or relevant academic work, it's going to be harder compared to all those individuals applying for the same jobs that already have that background. So no amount of resume grooming will make up for that lack of prior experience. However, what I will stress is that as you begin your professional career, you can quickly catch up by working hard and applying the tips in this book to reap the benefits of becoming a high performer. So it is not that you're doomed from the start. You absolutely, through your own hard work and perseverance and applying the concept of becoming valuable to your employer, as I'll be teaching in this book, it'll help you get a leg up, get that job you want, and ultimately start succeeding, even hitting positions higher than those of you around you that may have traditionally been more successful academically during those college or previous years. So as you may gather, for some of the hard work, it started long ago. It was rooted in academic, athletic, or some other form of excellence. Now, if you're starting from square one, as I mentioned, it does not mean you're too far behind to succeed. Rather, it just means you need to work harder going forward. So let me provide an example. I didn't get accepted to any university that I originally intended to attend. And, I failed 2 classes in college. Candidly, I was arrested. On paper, you would say, wow, this guy is destined for nothing, right? By any traditional definition, you would label me far from being successful. Is that correct? Well, that's where I'm glad to say you'll be proven wrong. I've began this path of success long, as a child when I was working harder in those AP classes in college. I actually graduated in 3 years, working hard, exceeding the unit amount, because I always had a goal in mind of what I wanted to achieve. And really challenging yourself, pushing yourself earlier on will reap tenfold the benefits later on. It's almost like investing in your 401k, as they say. You invest early on, and later in your life, you're going to see more and more exponential returns. The same thing goes for working hard and being successful. You work hard the first 5 years of your life, and you get yourself in a good, secure job and financial position. And now the rest of your life, you have that concrete industry and that benchmark that you can push yourself up from. So you can begin on a path of success no matter where you are in your life or career. Maybe you're not even a recent college grad. Maybe you decided education is not for you. That's not a problem. Or maybe you're later in on your career. You've been in the industry for 10, 20 years, but you're trying to demystify and figure out how can I push myself to getting to that position I wanted. So independent of GPA, school, education, or past work history, these tips are going to be able to be providing you value. You're capable of greatness, and one of the many pieces of advice you will read includes the importance of not doubting yourself and always keep trying. By reading and learning and listening from these following tips, I'm hoping to enable you to become a successful member of the workforce. Now, as I mentioned, as a recent college graduate myself, I'm writing from both the perspective of an individual contributor chronicling what helped me succeed, as well as the mindset of a founder of a company and what I would value in my employees. So a little bit more background on myself. I do see myself as an entrepreneur. I have a number of companies, some of them in the more commercial space, some of them in technology, affiliate marketing businesses. I have real estate investments. So there's definitely an opportunity to diversify and grow value passively for yourself beyond just working for an employer. So one of the things that these tips are for is their guidance, partly subjective, partly objective, to help you excel in the workforce and achieve your professional goals. This is for those of you who know that you're hardworking, you're willing to work hard, and you're motivated to be the best you can be. These tips will help you provide the most value to your employer, make a difference in the world, and in return, empower you to negotiate for higher compensation. Now, what these tips and the series of videos, if you're watching, are about is these tips are not simple steps of what to do to land a mediocre job or work the bare minimum, to stay employed. They're meant to be for those that are seeking to succeed, to push themselves and be those top achievers. If you're looking also just to strike it rich and make a large sum of money, while these tips may help, conceptually, they're not directly for you, because candidly, to really strike the largest number of riches, you need to start your own company and not necessarily work for someone else, helping them accumulate their own wealth. Now, prior to diving into the formal topics of journeying into the workforce, it's also important to call out the drastic lifestyle changes that are going to come your way if you're a new grad. First, you'll need a mindset change in terms of the seasons and associated vacation. While in school, there was a clear mental distinction given the major breaks for spring, winter, summer, from school. When you enter the workforce, however, this distinction, it really degrades because each week flows into the next, and there really isn't this concept of a, quote unquote break. Your vacation time is fleeting. You decide when you'd like to take that. But the good news is that you'll learn that your weekends, unlike in college when you spent your time catching up on homework and assignments as a working professional, there's a sweet solace in the weekends, as most of your work is done during the week and you're a free individual to enjoy the weekend. In addition, keep in mind, you can always take those planned vacation or unplanned sick days as needed. I will recommend later in the book, take advantage of that because your own, health, lowering your own stress levels, absolutely key to being a high performer. So on that note, working hard and executing successfully on the tips in this book does require that you're both mentally and physically sound. So don't neglect taking care of yourself. Take those vacation days, take the time to work out, don't feel guilty for taking them. High performers, they don't just work a lot, but they work smartly and efficiently. Now, taking time off ensures that your work is productive, ensures you're eager, you have that drive continuing to succeed, and that you don't get burnt out. This is especially true if you fall ill. Again, focus on recovery. You want to get back to that 100% rather than working multiple weeks sick and at a 50% mark. Take that 1 week extra to really get better, get back to 100%. Now, to be at 100%, not only do you have to be physically in good shape, not actually have a concrete sickness like a cough, etc., but it's key to also be mentally fit. So it's important to have non-work hobbies. I highly recommend staying active also in the form of cardiovascular exercise. It does a wonder for reducing stress and getting your mental health in the right area, getting you the positivity flowing so that you could focus when you're on the job and you have the energy needed to give that 110%, 120% that your employer will recognize. Now, staying active, as mentioned, will also reduce the stress and anxiety, whether it's work or non-work related. And an important note on stress is a warning is not to overcommit to others in the pursuit of wealth and success. While of course, maybe one of the goals of learning these tips is you really want to push yourself, you want to make more money, you want to succeed, be seen as successful. It's definitely a stark lesson and warning of mine. Don't put those goals, ahead of your own well-being and your ties to friends, family, etc. A good question that I always ask myself, and I tell my friends to ask themselves anytime they're working hard or going into a new job is, if you were suddenly given enough money, to live the rest of your life, win the lottery, let's say, would you still work where you work, or do what you do? Would you be in the same line of business? In my case, product management or the tech industry. And for me, absolutely, because, candidly, it's almost a hobby. I get to come in, I get to work with a great team, we get to solve business issues, and it's a lot of fun because I'm interested in it personally. Now, if there was simply a job that you're just making money, let's say, selling something, and you have no personal connection to what you're selling, you're going to find it so much harder to make that justification to the question I prompted, which is, if you were given a large sum of money, what would you do? Would you have left that job for something else, or would you stay there? So it's a good level set. Now, the next major post-graduation lifestyle shift is in terms of your social network and peer circle. In college and school, you're constantly surrounded by other individuals with similar hobbies and a similar age range as yourself. For the many graduates who are moving away from where they went to school to start a job, often such similarities are no longer the case in terms of hobbies and age. Maintaining a social circle outside the work